All right, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mountaineer Mania, episode 2. Glad you can join us. I'm excited to get into this episode. We're going to kind of go off of the typical football subject right now. I know everybody's still talking about recruiting. Everybody's excited to get the season going. I'm sure spring game coming up in a couple of months will be exciting. Will tell us a lot about the direction of the football program, but as I mentioned in episode 1, I am extremely happy that baseball season has rolled around. We get the Mountaineers out on the diamond, and soon we get them back in Morgantown in that beautiful ballpark that they have there. Um, so, actually, right after I dropped episode 1, I believe the very next day, the season started up. So, I'm excited to get into a little bit of the baseball stuff, but I don't want to start on the diamond quite yet. I want to get into just a little bit of West Virginia basketball and specifically women's basketball. We know the men's team are kind of right on that bubble, fighting to get to that 20 win mark, which historically gets you into the tournament. But I don't know that 20 wins is enough to get the men's team into the tournament this season. So we'll have to wait and see about that. We do know the women will be playing in March, or at least we're pretty sure. Right now, the women sit at 19th in the country. They are having a phenomenal season. They got 2 games left on their schedule, but I want to shout out and talk a little bit about what they have left and what they've been doing here lately. A couple nights ago, back on the 11th, so a couple weeks ago, I should say, back on the 11th, West Virginia scored the most points in a conference game, at least in the for the Mountaineers. They put up 106 at home against UCF. Um, they had put up 100 points earlier in a conference game, or 102 in a conference game earlier this season. So the women have been absolutely dominant as of late. They did drop one on the road, 9 point loss. A few days after that, to TCU, who's actually leading the Big 12 conference right now in the women's side of things. And then just a couple of days ago on the 21st, Oklahoma State came to town, and Oklahoma State actually came in same or was about a game behind in both the overall and conference records. So not a bad team at all. But Oklahoma State loses again to West Virginia. West Virginia's won, I believe it said the last 5 times that those teams have met in Morgantown. The Oklahoma State head coach has never won at Hope Coliseum, so that streak continued 72-40. West Virginia was in control all game long. Never trailed in that game. Really, Oklahoma State didn't have much of a chance. They got to put it away. 2 games left for West Virginia. If they win those 2 ball games, uh, they are going to be guaranteed the double bye in the Big 12 tournament. Right now, they sit second in the conference, so a couple of wins, and they pretty well lock up the double bye into the conference tournament, which is big. We'll take a look at the standings real quick here. February 25th, they play on the road against UCF, team they just dropped 100 plus on. So you anticipate that should be a win. And then they close things out in the Coliseum on the 1st against Cincinnati. So 2 games that should be winnable. If we take a look at the standings, you'll see where TCU sits. They sit at 13-3 in conference play. West Virginia just 1 game behind them. Um, so you look at that game that dropped a few days ago, that 9 point loss on the road to TCU, that became a very big loss in that one. They sit even with Baylor at 12-4 in conference play, um, but again, right now showing them in second. So either way, you want to be in one of those top 4 seeds to get that double bye, and West Virginia sits very well in there. Um, you look down at where their final 2 opponents are. You got to scroll all the way down here towards the bottom, Cincinnati and UCF. So no reason West Virginia should not be able to win both of those last two games. Cincinnati has won their last two, but again, West Virginia at home, senior night, it'll be senior night in the Coliseum. No reason why West Virginia doesn't get that job done. UCF next, they should cruise past them again as long as they don't overlook anything. And I've got a feeling that they'll be ready to go, knowing that the double bye is still kind of on the line for them, needing to win those two ball games. So I like West Virginia's odds. You get the double bye. Uh, you're sitting with 22 wins overall on the season, 12-4. Should finish 14-4, 22-6 overall. They've had a very strong road season this season. Right now, sitting at 7-2, you should be able to add one more to that, finish up at 8-2 on the road. So that bodes well going. A lot of times in um, this March Madness tournament for the women, uh, they get played on campus sites a lot of the time. Even in the later rounds, they're on campus sites, and a lot of times even the higher seeds have to go on the road and play in a hostile environment, basically. We've seen it before with this West Virginia team when they were really good. Um, they lose in the second round or so because they're on the road um, against a pretty good program, even though they're the better seed. So I think West Virginia being able to win on the road this season will prepare them for that, and I'd like to see the women make a deep run in the tournament in March. They've set themselves up well. They've got a lot of really good players. They're dominant down low. Uh, they're scrappy. You watch the post game interview with one of their guards after the Oklahoma State game. She had a busted lip, still had a little bit of blood on it. And that was one of the things that she mentioned is just how much that team fights. They get on the floor, they scrap for everything, and they really put it on the line. Uh, Kind of Bob Huggins style with the men a few years back. So it should be a fun watch here as the calendar turns to March and we get into conference tournament play and then obviously the NCAA tournament. Um, so hopefully we have a ball club to watch towards mid to late March, making a run. We'll see. Hopefully we have two of them. I'd like to see the men get in there and maybe steal a win or two in the tournament. You never know. But again, the men have a very uphill battle trying to climb to get into March, where the women, on the other hand, well, they have a bit of an easier path to get into March, and you would like to see them be able to take that double bye and really push it into their favor in the conference tournament as well. And you ultimately you want to lock up with TCU in the championship game. You really want that opportunity to avenge that last loss and steal the title away from them there in the championship game in the Big 12 tournament. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that's kind of what I'd like to see happen, and I think West Virginia sets up well to do that. And again, the style that they play, aggressive, fast. They're going to bang bodies underneath. They're going to get on the floor, fight for the ball, and I think that sets up well. Um, and in these tournaments, you start getting into that war of attrition. Sometimes you can start banging bodies, getting fouls, but I think West Virginia has proved this season they can win, um, and beat that war of attrition itself. They did that against Duke when they had basically all of their points thrown out of the Duke game, and they played the entire second half against Duke, who I think at the time was ranked fifth in the nation. They played the entire second half with only five players and wound up not just winning that game, but winning convincingly. Dominated Duke in the second half of that game and came away with a double-digit win in that one. So I think West Virginia, I like their chances in the Big 12 tournament, at least getting to the finals. Uh, and then you got to lock up with TCU more than likely, who beat you by 9 points just a few days ago. And a little bit of payback on your mind for that one. So hopefully, um, hopefully when they get into that situation, they can come away with big wins. So we'll see. And then Selection Sunday rolls around. This should be you're probably looking at a 5 or 6 seed at best. If you're West Virginia, you're hoping for a 5 or 6 seed. I don't know that if you're conference champion, uh, even as a conference champion, I don't know that West Virginia gets ranked higher than that. I hope so, but you're probably looking at a 5 or a 6, even as a conference champion. Um, just historically, West Virginia kind of gets that look. And I know they say they don't look at teams. They look at records. They look at you know quad wins, and the Oklahoma State win was a quad 2 win. It was a big win. Um, so we'll see how that plays out. But um, somehow I've got a feeling West Virginia sits at kind of a 5 or a 6 seed come March. Um, so we'll see. We'll see if that somehow works to our advantage, or if we wind up struggling because of the seeding. But it's all going to depend on the draw when it comes down to it. So we'll see. All right, finally, we're going to get into a little bit of baseball. We're gonna go over to the Diamond. West Virginia started a couple of weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, 3 games against Georgia Southern. This past weekend, they played 3 against Liberty, including a doubleheader on Saturday. And you can see there on your screen, 5-1 overall. Started 5-0, dropped the second game of the doubleheader on Saturday evening. Uh, Not quite the start that we had a season ago. Yes, last year West Virginia started at 13-0. They won their first 13 ball games, and it was an impressive run. It really put people on notice. But West Virginia came into the weekend ranked 25th. I don't see that changing. Or at least I don't see it. I don't see them dropping with one loss. If anything, I think with the start that they've had, it still goes up. I don't think you'll see them any higher than 22. I think that would be the max that they would rise after their last loss. But I don't think they'll drop out. No worse than 25. But I can see them going up a couple of spots at least, maybe 3 when the rankings come back out. So it's been a good start for the club. Um, I started on the 13th. Again, this is like the day after I dropped episode 1 of the podcast. They went down to Georgia Southern. They took care of business in that 3 game set, including a 15-3 opener. It's college baseball, and it was night 1 for both programs, and you know I think some sometimes hitting takes a minute to kind of start up. Sometimes your pitching will start really well. Sometimes it takes a while for your pitchers to get dialed in. And in college, with those metal bats, I think it takes a little bit longer because you can give up some big hits off of some really good pitches just based on the fact that that metal bat's gonna, it's gonna pop off that metal bat a little bit more. You might get a flare that falls in off that metal bat that would have been nothing but a weak line drive, a looping line drive right at somebody uh, on that wooden bat. So, and I don't know if any of that really played in. 15 runs on night number 1. I don't think that was necessarily the case. West Virginia made solid contact most of the night, put together a big night in game 1 going away. Then you look at games 2 and games 3, a bit closer, a more normal score in game 3. One of those wild college baseball scores. You see them a lot in college baseball. 9-8s, 11-10s. Like you've got 15 plus runs for one or more teams. Sometimes it's a struggle getting guys out, and in game 2, it looked a little bit like maybe they did have some trouble getting some guys out in both areas. You go get an 11-10 win, and that was actually game 1 of a doubleheader. So because of weather issues in college is really good about doing this. You want to be able to get your games in. You're not going to reschedule a bunch of games. Um, so they'll take a look at the weather beforehand, especially early season. And if they've got to take a game from Sunday and move it to Saturday, because of travel arrangements, because of weather. They are going to do that, and so they wound up both weekends because of weather entering the area on Sunday. Played doubleheaders on Saturday against Georgia Southern. They were able to get the job done both nights, 11 or both games on Saturday, 11-10, 5-2. So you can see that 5-2 game. They were able to put some defense together. Both teams were. And then you get down into Liberty this past week, and I was able to watch a few of these games myself. And that 12-0 game Friday night, uh, now you start to see how good this West Virginia pitching staff can be. Um, Liberty's been struggling. I think they've got now 4 wins, 3 wins on the season. I think they're now 3-5 or something to that nature. Um, so they haven't been playing lights out baseball early on, but again, it's college baseball. You never know what kind of at bats you're going to get. These kids can come up with some huge games at the right moment. So you go 12-0, 2-0 in the first 2 games of the series on the road against Liberty. Um, and Liberty's not a bad ball club. They're not playing real well right now, but they have they have some talent. They have some kids that look like they're going to be pretty darn good for them this season. They brought in some transfers, including some in conference kids that switched over from Sam Houston State, came over to Liberty, so playing within the same conference. So they've got some recognition there, and they're going to be pretty good in Conference USA. Um, but we're able to get a couple of shutouts there, and then finally dropped one. Liberty uh, got to us in game three, 4-1. And really, it wasn't even that close. We had a chance early to get some runs on the board. Got got thrown out trying to steal home, which would have been the second steal of home this season. But kid gets thrown out, I believe, in the first inning. Gets thrown out and winds up costing us a chance at a run. You had one of our big bats up at the moment, and so it cost us a chance to drive in some runs there. We wound up losing 4-1. They really controlled that one. We did not swing the bat very well. Didn't get a ton of guys on base in that game, and it winds up kind of costing us one there. But that is what it is. You're not going to win them all in baseball, obviously. So you just rebound and get going. Actually, we'll go back to the schedule real quick and we'll take a look as West Virginia will. Uh, they'll get home for one game. This game originally was scheduled for Tuesday, I believe, the 24th. So tomorrow, but because of weather in the area, they pushed it already. And our first home game at Wagner Field is Wednesday, the 25th in the afternoon. Tough one for students, tough one for any fans in the area to get to in the middle of the day on Wednesday. But that's going to be the best time to get that game in with all the weather that's going to be in the area in Morgantown at the time. So if you got a chance, get out there. I really wish I could go see a game there at Wagner Field. I've seen the field; it's beautiful. I got to actually went up the hospital parking lot that's up the hill, look down into it, and I think while the Monongahela Bears or the summer league team or whoever it was getting ready to play a game, um, so unfortunately, that wasn't there when I was a student. We played it at the old park by the Coliseum, which was your traditional grass field with the dirt infield. But I didn't get a chance to sit here in this beautiful stadium and see a game. It would have been nice, but I'm old, so that's what happens. You miss all the good stuff sometimes when the money rolls into the athletic department years after you've graduated. So you get a chance to go out and watch that go enjoy it, and then they head back down south to Georgia to take on Kennesaw State. The Owls, they got 3 there before they come back home early March to take on Radford. And again, these are games that I can see us winning. We could easily be and easily is kind of a general term there, but we could be looking at 9-1 as they come back in for that Radford series early March as they come back into Morgantown, which would be phenomenal. I would love to see that. And real quick, let's just look at how good this West Virginia team has been, right? Uh, and this is just off of WVUsports.com. I just pulled it up real quick. You guys can't see it on my screen. It does have the opponent's stats side by side as well. Um, so we can talk a little bit about that, but just want to run down how good West Virginia has been uh, at the plate, specifically averaging nearly 8 runs a game, about 7.6, 7.7 runs a game. Um, Went into that Liberty series and actually through game one of that Liberty series, we're averaging over 10 runs a game. So 46 total runs, as you can see there on your screen, through 6 games. So phenomenal offensively early on. And I'm sure that'll change up and down throughout the season as they get into some tougher competition, especially in the Big 12 play. Some of these bigger name pitchers will slow that down a little bit. But right now, they have been on fire here through the first 6 games, batting nearly 300, OPS at over 800, 61 hits, 38 RBIs. They have torn the cover off the ball. There you see 15 doubles and a triple, 4 home runs, including Schofield on Friday night against Liberty, hit a tank to right field, almost hit what they call the flame train. It's just a box car that sits outside the uh, just beyond the right field visitors bullpen, back outside their stadium. It's just a little box car. They call it the flame train. I don't know. There's probably some significance to it, but it was a grand slam, really opened that thing up. I actually made it 12-0. It was the last 4 runs we scored that night. But he just absolutely destroyed that pitch over the bullpen in right field. It was a beautiful swing, and you knew it as soon as you heard that bat, the ping off that bat, and it was amazing. 4 home runs through the first 6 ball games. So that's pretty good. You're getting close to one a game. We've drawn 28 walks, and we've racked up 29 or 98 or 90 stolen or total bases. Excuse me. Trying to read. Obviously, not my strong suit. Stolen bases. Now this is impressive. What you can't see, our opponents 4 for 5 in stolen base attempts. So we're not throwing guys out at a high rate, but just 5 attempts in 6 games for our opponents. We have 20 stolen base attempts through 6 games. So, I mean, we get on base. We are looking to take the next one. Whether if we hit a single, we're looking to make it a double on the base pass nearly immediately with a steal. 17 of 20, and one of those caught stealings was the steal attempt of home in that first inning of the Saturday evening game against Liberty. So really, probably an attempt he shouldn't have tried that early in the ball game. Uh, not needing it at the moment. Uh, Really should probably be looking at more of a 16 for 19 situation or a 17 for 19 situation. Excuse me. But instead, 17 out of 20. Again, the aggressiveness, and this is how West Virginia is going to play all season long. They did it very similarly last season. I don't have the stats up, for last season, so I don't know how many attempts they had, but 20 attempts through 6 games. You're looking at better than 5 steal attempts a game, or around 5 steal attempts a game, I should say. And again, just the aggressiveness. We're going to try and take that extra base. That is exciting baseball, and I know a lot of people don't like baseball in general. To watch baseball in general, a lot of people will follow it. They want to see what's going on, uh, but to watch baseball in general, it can get a little bit boring. I wasn't completely bored watching these games. That I had some other things going on. Cooking dinner at one point during the second game of that doubleheader, and trying to get some other things accomplished. During the day on Saturday. Obviously, you're not locked in all the time, but I wasn't bored. you get the ping of the bat. You're excited. You're, oh, how hard did he hit that one? You're checking the exit velocities. You get a lot of excitement, especially in college baseball and just being a big baseball fan, and college sports fan in general. I College baseball is kind of something I really enjoy watching, and you get to see guys running all over the base paths, trying to take that extra base, trying to make some extra things happen, stealing home. You don't see those in MLB games at this level or at this clip. So I think it makes it a lot more exciting. And so West Virginia's got that exciting brand of baseball, and they're going to be in that top 25 all season long. In my opinion, they are a good enough program that you're going to see them climb the ranks. You will see them in postseason play again. Last season, they made it to a super regional where they got knocked out by eventual national champion LSU. I think we're back at that kind of level, regional, super regional kind of team. Um, are we good enough to host a super regional? Or excuse me, I don't know about super regional. Are we good enough to host a regional? Yes, I think so. I think this is a club that some things are going to have to go our way. You're going to get in these games where like the 2-0 game that we played Saturday afternoon. You're going to have some of those that you've got to come up with wins. Um, you're going to be in these 4-1 ball games. You got to be on the right side of those 4-1 games more often than we're on the wrong side of them. I think this is a team that can do that, though. I think pitching showed enough that we're going to be in these ball games. We're going to be able to make those plays, and I think when it gets down to postseason play, we're going to set ourselves up well. We're going to be in a conversation for hosting a regional. So, and that ballpark, again, I'm going to mention, the ballpark there, Wagner Ballpark. Uh, that is a place that I think the NCAA would want to showcase in a regional. Would want, you know, three other universities to be able to come in and see and experience and give Morgantown a chance to shine on a national level. And I think you get that excitement into the Morgantown area. You're going to get a lot of fans out there. I really think that's a place um, that deserves to host a regional, and I think we're going to have a team that is going to be in that conversation. And I know the park doesn't necessarily dictate it, who hosts the regionals, and I know that, but I think that it is a ballpark that deserves to host one, and I think West Virginia is a team that at the end of the season will be in that conversation of, are they going to be a 2 seed at this regional, or are they a 1 seed in this region and host that region? Um, you know, it, and again, we're going to need some things to go our way. We're going to have to continue to play, maybe not quite at this pace. This is a phenomenal pace that we're on right now. Hitting almost 300 as a team is great. Um, I think it needs to stay, you know, around there. You'd like to see it get a little bit higher as a team. We got some guys that are hitting at a clip that after 6 games, it's not going to stick. But I think we're gonna be in a good position come into the season. And I know it's early, and I'm already predicting this, but that's what we do, right? You talk about we're already starting to talk about how the football team looks come September and at the end of the season. Uh, so through 6 games of the baseball season early on, I'm already going to say that West Virginia is going to be a team that competes in the Big 12, can potentially win that conference and make some noise in that conference tournament and potentially win it. And I think that we're a team that, come season's end, as long as people stay healthy, you can never, obviously, you don't know what injury situations look like, and it's a long season, bumps and bruises occur, obviously. But if we stay healthy, I think we're a team that makes it to a regional, potentially hosts a regional. And again, I think we're good enough to to make another super regional run. Hopefully, a run into Omaha. For the first time ever. I would love to see that, um, but we'll see. And with that, everybody, we're about at that half hour mark. So I'm trying to get you guys out of there, and I hope you guys enjoyed episode 2 of Mountaineer Mania. And I will be back in a week. We'll see what we got on the docket. We'll look into maybe a little bit back into some football. We'll check on how the baseball team is doing, and we'll again talk a little bit more about basketball, both men and women's, as we get into conference tournament play. And we'll look to see, are the men on the bubble? How good are the women? And again, where does this baseball team sit after a couple of more games over the weekend? I appreciate you guys joining us, and I will talk to you next week. See you then, everybody.